Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Maru, do we have any pre-submitted questions today?
No, we don't.
Okay. Okay. Hey, everyone. It's Will here. Thanks for joining our Lunch and Learn on Monday. We don't have any pre-submitted questions, so if you have any questions, please let us know.
Hey, Will.
Hey, David.
All
What you
right.
got?
So we have we created a flow to make an assignment and then process the email response and to look at
Okay.
a specific account's inbox, right?
Yep.
And we go over onto we export that, import it over onto a client's environment, and can't really get that to work. And I think it's because of the way that they have their email configured. So just as a test, I created another flow just to get email headers and configure that step the same way that I have it configured on mine, which is connected to Office 365. So pretty straightforward and pretty simple. I can get it to work on my end, but theirs, it looks like they have it set up some way that only goes through SMTP rather than POP or IMAP. And I only see steps in there to basically configure it in for IMAP or POP, right? So I guess I'm wondering, my initial thought was, well, I think I can install the Exchange module, and get it to maybe auto detect those settings and work that way. So I guess I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on that. I thought that was, I mean, I guess they have their own Exchange server and they have it configured however they have it configured, which is not what I was expecting. So I mean, I get it, it's on us to figure out, but I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on that, or maybe run across something like that before where they have a weird email configuration.
The problem is that their Exchange won't let you connect via IMAP or POP.
Yeah, so we on their end, we brought our IT guy on, and he had them download, I forget what the name of it was, but it's a program that you can basically do a port scan to see what's open and whatnot. So the only thing that they had open for email was port 25.
Okay.
Using SMTP. So I try to use this step to get email headers and basically plug in port 25 and figure it in that way. And it keeps saying, I get an error that says something about a TLS protocol or something like that. So I'm not sure that configuring it as IMAP or POP is going to work. So I guess I was curious about whether you may think my idea of it's installing the Exchange module and doing that would work.
Yeah, you probably do have to use, I can't remember who had the same thing before where they couldn't connect over IMAP. So they use the Exchange module to connect, because I think it was, or they couldn't use username and password, so they have to use Exchange. They could use like OAuth or some other type of connector or authentication. It does sound like, yes, likely you need to use the Exchange module to connect then. Instead of, you should be able to use Exchange like a IMAP server. It is one, and it can operate like that, even though it's proprietary.
Right.
But I recall, it's been a while, and I don't remember what the specific solution was, but someone else hit a scenario where IMAP was disabled on their Exchange server. And so I believe they had to use the Exchange module to connect.
Yeah.
It's very similar. You're just now using in your flow, you're just using the Exchange steps instead of the IMAP steps in your custom email response flow.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking is if I can use the Exchange module and gain at least access to that inbox that way, I mean, I can just write a custom response processing flow that can search that inbox and then process a response.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay.
Because you can still get unread messages with the Exchange steps, right?
Exactly.
And you can still mark messages read. And in fact, there are some more like sophisticated steps where you can like search and query the inbox and things like that. So it actually does provide some enhanced functionality that IMAP doesn't.
Gotcha.
But generally speaking, your process would be the same. So that does sound, I think you're on the right track. You get Exchange module installed in that environment, try to use that to connect to Exchange server, and then build your email response job around that.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Okay, we have a question here from an anonymous attendee. How do you define the JSON structure for GET requests, which will return multiple objects? All right, so you would want to let's just make a flow. This will be, I'll show you how to do it. So this is fake REST call. And then this flow is going to output a list of objects. So let me create a quick object here. So I'm going to create a flow structure. Test flow structure. And I'll just give this a single property here. I'm just going to build a quick flow to operate as a REST service so I can have something to call. Since I don't have a REST service to call on command. Fake REST call, I'm going to just come to my end step and declare a list of this stuff. I'll just call it out, and I'll find my test flow struct, lunch and learn 3.7, and it's a list. And I'll configure this to be able to be called as an API service here. And save this. And I will go to the integration details tab. And I need to, let me use a name session here so I can authenticate. And I'll copy the URL out here. So if I paste this here, gives me nothing. That's fine. Let me put some data in here. Hello, world. Okay, if I refresh this, I should get, or now I have an output array of JSON here. The array name is out. You can see that here. And then I have two objects in my array, each of which has a single property here. Okay, now that I have that, let me come create a external service, REST service. Name this thing test REST1. And here's my service URL. And I'm going to come here and actually don't need to, I'll keep all of that the same and click save integration. Now probably what I would do is have just part of these. I'm assuming you're this far along. Let's see here. Where is my stuff? Lunch and learn 3.7. This will be called call first REST service. I'll leave URL relative to base. It's a HTTP, and then this is I'm gonna select a data type here, and I'm going to make, okay, so let's do this. I need to actually get my data type. So what I'm gonna do is copy my data here. Is the whole thing, I don't know who's asking the question since it's anonymous, is the whole thing, let me actually paste this into our chat so everyone can see the actual question here. The list itself, I can't, hold on, I might need to change my integration details just a moment here. What does raw look like? Is it just the list? Raw JSON. It's just out. This is better. Let me do, okay. So what I'm going to do is copy I'm going to create a flow structure as if I didn't have one. So I'm going to come XML, create type from JSON, name this the JSON example 1, and put my JSON in here. So this is me getting the JSON from that particular web service. And this is a list. There's a property called out, and inside it, you can see the 2 items in the out array here, and I can tell it's that because of these opening and closing square brackets. So I'll create this. And then what I'm gonna do is come back into my REST service folder I created here and add a method to that. I'll just call this test1. And here I'm gonna say select data type. And this will be test JSON. I'm gonna select test JSON. What did I name that thing? Test flow struct. Nope. Let me find it. We'll say current folder. Oops. Excuse me. Current folder, the JSON example 1, and the result will be an array. Click OK here. Now that I've built that, I can create a new flow. I should be able to call that. So I'll come into integration to REST services, test REST 1, test 1. That's my REST step. And then test here. Let me see if I can run this. Error. Okay, doesn't like that. Okay, it wants an array. I can't. So let me duplicate my tab here. Let me edit my test1 method here. Let me set this to not be an array. Let me debug this again. So that works. So I'm not going to be able to show this exactly well, given the particulars here. The result out is empty. That's not right. Why is my array empty? Hold on. That should show my data for sure. Back up here. The JSON example, if I look at this, oops, excuse me. The JSON example 1, it wants me to pick, I should pick out here. I'll walk back through all this in more detail in just a minute. Once I get this to work. So it's not that, it's actually out. Out is my type. Let me debug this again. Be my output. All right, there is result null. String 1 null. What am I missing here? What's wrong with what I'm doing? Out is a result type. If I look at out and I edit it, it is, okay, it's each item. That's fine. If I look at JSON 1, out is an array. Let me just try something really quick. What if I set this back? I know I'm bouncing around here a bunch. I apologize, to an array and try running this again. Error, it doesn't like that, okay. because it's, I know why. My URL's wrong. My URL needs to be edited to include, to be now what? Raw JSON instead of just JSON. So if I do that, I come back here and debug. Suck. Now I'll set this back to, good Lord. JSON example 1. Try this. There we go. Okay, I've got my data coming back now. Now mine is an array. What I think you have to do, so I'm having a difficulty just with how we return our JSON. You can see here, if I call this, it's still giving me the way decisions returns you the JSON is it still wraps the array in a single object here. What I think you do is this: you're going to get your JSON for your data structure. This is for each one, right? You're going to copy that JSON into, going to come to create data types, create XML JSON, create type from XML, and you're going to create a simple flow structure using the create XML type for that. Then what you're going to do is go to your REST service method, and you're going to edit it, and you're going to select. You're going to say select data type as the output option. Result data type will be the type you just created, and you'll set result is array to true. And if you're actually getting an array back, not an array nested inside of an object like we have here, which is really a function of how, just some of the constraints in terms of how we generate UI. Not UI, how we generate our JSON, that will allow you to get a list of objects back into your flow that you can then use to map down from the REST service step. I don't know who asked this question, so let me know if that's not clear. You can go off mute and we can talk about it more. Sorry, that was a lot of bouncing around just to get to that piece. Again, you create a JSON object, get the JSON for each item in your array, for one item in your array, create a type for that item using create types database integration, create types integration, XML, create type from JSON. Once you have that type, edit your REST service, click in your REST service folder, find the method you're editing here, edit it, select that type as the result data type, and click result is array to true. And that should give you a list of items back from the REST service step. Okay, you bet. All right, what other questions might we have today? Oops. Go ahead, Dave. What you got?
Yeah, one more for you. When I'm on a form and I go to set up an assignment and the email, I guess the email notification part of that, there was I think there's a drop down to where you can select custom, and the email that gets generated from there, I guess the task email, it comes with it looks like it's putting something in there by default to respond to this task or
Yeah.
go to the portal. Is there any way to remove that to where it, I guess it doesn't do that? I didn't see any options in the form. I assume there's some kind of,
I think it's the assignment ID. Like I think it's the ID of the assigned form is what it adds in there in some way.
Let me find my thing here. I don't know if I have an example of it. Yeah. So I was, I guess, trying to set that up, and I set the email to do what I needed it to do. And then at the bottom, there's a, I guess there's a link to respond to this task or open and view this
Yeah.
task. They
Yeah,
look like
correct.
they look like buttons, but they're actually just links, I guess, to the
Correct.
to the portal.
Yep.
There's no way to, I guess, tell it to say don't put those buttons there, because I'm essentially trying to say go to this link to go to like an external web page to
Yeah.
do that.
You can't you can, but you can't use custom. So like right now I have an assigned form, right? I see notification policy custom.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to muck with the body of your form here, but it's still adding in text you don't want to be there, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that stuff's hard coded. So you
Okay.
can't use custom here. So what you would do is set this to none. And then you would go to on step run. You would
I
build a
see.
flow with a send email step, like a
Okay.
private you build a private flow with a send email step in here. And
Okay.
then it's just this fires off and has access to all the assignment information.
Yeah.
So you'd build something like this, and then you have complete control over the email body. So if
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what
custom, yeah.
yeah, that's what we did. I was just curious if there was any, if that was the right way to go about it, or if there was any manipulation that we could do there to that.
No, we get requests about getting some changing that text or excluding it. Right now, the only way is to use the on step run flow if you need to, if the default email notification or the custom one, which just allows you to insert some text into the default one,
Yeah.
doesn't give you what you're after. Excuse
Okay.
me. Yep.
Have you guys thought about or looked at possibly making that more, I guess, robust and controllable maybe in future releases?
I think right now we've got some FRs in to allow you to change the text on those buttons because they're actually you can't even change the way that the text of those what the text of
Oh,
those
I
quote
see.
unquote buttons
Yeah,
is.
you can't even change the color or the font or anything like that.
Yeah, right now I don't think we have anything right now that's in the
Okay.
hopper. For right now the big things are getting deployment to be super squared away so that
Gotcha.
you don't have any issues during repo or check in, check out, as well as getting V8 launched here at the end of the month.
Gotcha.
Those are the big ones right now.
Cool.
So unfortunately, it does make it a bit of work. This is a place where I'll admit one of the things that is fairly straightforward to do becomes can be quite involved, especially if your email the email you need to build up is quite involved. You can spend a lot of time writing, scripting HTML and that sort of thing to make it look nice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess once you have it built, you have it built, but going through the process of building is just,
yeah, it can take a little bit of time, that's for sure. But right now, this is all you got, and then we don't have any near-term roadmap changes for this part of the application.
all right, can never hurt to ask, right?
Yep, yeah, for sure. Hey, Maria, that is TBD still. You can unsure in the moment about where we're headed to for the. We've actually released 6.20.
Okay.
So we will be alerting you guys of what the maintenance timelines for 6X look like. So I would say no determination made currently.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. All right, we're creeping in on 12:30 here. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. All right, that's everything then. I think we'll just call it an afternoon. Thanks, everyone. And Noah will be here tomorrow. So as always, please let your friends and family know that we do these. We're excited to get as many people on these calls as possible. All right, thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon.